What's goody, entrepreneurs? What's goody? What's goody? Yeah, let's get these slides going, okay? So, I had a conversation with Connie just about, I'm really big on being what's wanted and needed in the space and not pushing my agenda or what I want, right? And she communicated to me that it was really important, right? We were talking about, Madi was talking about content and gaining a following and monetizing. Marcus was talking about monetizing. I want to talk about leveraging human capital. So I'm a kid from the Bronx, born and raised. I spent about 10 years working on Wall Street. And one of the things that I noticed was everybody kept talking about productivity or capital when it came to materials and grants and funding, but everybody overlooked human capital, like the people that worked in the environment. And one of the gaps that I noticed was the business is never going to outgrow the people that work in the environment. So I don't care about how much revenue you do. I don't care about your benefits and how much people get paid. Like if your culture sucks, your business is going to eventually fail. So Connie communicated to me, it was on her heart for me to share with you how to not only hire but retain talent. And not just any talent, but top talent, and more specifically, how to create a dream team around you. We got CEOs in here. How many CEOs we got in here? Right? So I'm super competitive, and I like to think of things like in sports terms. So we think like a GM, and they always ask the question like, what one player would you pick to build a team around? Some people say Kobe, some people say Mike, some people say LeBron because he's well-rounded. Like, you are that top talent. And you can't just put anybody around you if you want to win a championship. You may be able to get lucky and do it once, but if you want to create a dynasty, you have to put talent around you that complements you. Write this down. Blind spots are natural, but weaknesses are manufactured. Blind spots are natural, but weaknesses are manufactured. So one of the things that I noticed was, and it's just human nature, we tend to stick to and hang around people that we like, people that are like us. But when you're in a business setting, you're creating a role and you're usually hiring somebody to fill in a gap. Correct? If you are the top talent and you do something particularly well, we know that you have a blind spot. There's some things you don't do well. If you're hiring people that are exactly like you, then what you're doing is duplicating more problems, more of the same problem. You're not solving anything. So what I want us to do is look at the people across from us and don't look at their differences as a problem, but let's use our differences to make a difference and grow and scale a business. Y'all with me? Yeah. Okay, cool. So when I was preparing for this, I was like, what's keeping CEOs up at night? Again, I like to think in sports terms, so I'm like, what would be the MVP for me? What MVP like presentation, what message could I bring? And when I think about an MVP, like what's the most valuable problem I could solve for you? And usually it's a people problem. If you're a founder, if you're a CEO, this is your baby and you have it all in here, but the problem is trying to get other people to have the same passion, how to leverage and scale the drive, the intellectual property that you have. So the most valuable problem, when I say valuable, this is a problem that is, one, super urgent. If you walking through the house and you like hit your toe on the corner, that hurts. But it doesn't hurt the same way that heartbreak does. And it doesn't hurt the same way that a gunshot wound does. So it has to be really urgent because it's going to move you to take action immediately. It also has to be expensive. What is it costing you? I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was like, I realized like the reason why we don't venture out and expand in certain areas is because it's very easy for us to quantify what's here in our environment, what we earned already, but we're not looking at what it's costing us not to take action. So it's costing CEOs, right? It's costing CEOs on average, $1.5 million for every incorrect hire. And we're speaking in terms of not only what it costs to train and recruit, but the loss of productivity. So when you find somebody, when you're recruiting, you want to make sure you pick right the first time. And again, I don't want to just do the surface level thing. I want the stuff that's really troubling you. Getting the right people. How many of us CEOs got trust issues? Just keep it a band. How many of y'all like, okay, I'm going to give you this task, and then if I feel like you're not doing it right, I'm going to take it back. Let me get that back. When you do that, how many of y'all think about the impact of those actions? The most important factor in a business is trust. If you don't trust your team, then they're not going to perform. Cool. So I want to talk about this for a second before I get into it. One of the key problems that I see around building out or developing an organization is there's this culture of I'm going to create a JD and then get somebody to fit the JD. Right? We're going to create a job description. We got a business need. And now I want somebody to fit into this role. Any of y'all ever been to like anybody from like Chicago, New York City, been to like a busy city? Y'all ever try to go on a packed train or something and try to squeeze into a seat? How does that feel? Uncomfortable, right? How does it feel when you go home for Thanksgiving though? It's warm. People embrace you for who you are. How would your life and your business look and feel if you had the freedom to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be understood, and to be celebrated for who you are and not who you're supposed to be? What would your life, what would your business look like? Can anybody put a price on that? It's priceless. And some of y'all are like, what does this have to do with what we're talking about? What I've learned is that authenticity doesn't have to compete. If the quickest way to get your business to win is to hire the right people and allow them to be themselves. Don't bottleneck them. So let's make a commitment to move from going JD first with getting talent, right? So let's look at core values. Let's look at a fit first culture where we get talent and now we create a role that allows this person to be super. Anybody like into like Marvel? Anybody like comics? Cool, cool, cool. I'm a Marvel person. I'm not really into DC like that. I'm not really, you know what I'm saying? But there's this guy called Superman. Everybody know what Superman is? Right? Who knows Superman's story though? So real quick, Superman is from Krypton, and the planet was going crazy. His pops was like, listen, I'm gonna get my little man out of here. I'm gonna send him to this planet called Earth. And he left him like this little message. And yeah, I said Earth, not Earth. He sent him this little message and he said, listen, I'm sending you to Earth. It has a really young sun, and the sun is going to like revitalize and rejuvenate your body. So Superman comes to Earth, and he's realizing like, oh, I'm stronger than people, I'm faster than people. So the point here is that Superman is only super on Earth. He was normal on Krypton. When he came to Earth, he became the Man of Steel. And really, he's only super because the Earth's sun charges him. It's almost like a solar panel. And then y'all seen the movie, like when the other people from Krypton came and they brought him on that little ship, they was cutting him like he was bleeding. I was like, yo, Superman is human. When he's outside of the sun's rays, he becomes normal. A lot of y'all are asking people to be super on a planet that they're not meant to be super on. The crazier part is a lot of us are requiring ourselves to be super outside of our Earth. So the very first thing I need for you to do is find your Earth. What's that environment? What's that area that allows you to be super, that makes you stand out? Remember, authenticity doesn't have to compete. There's a lot of superhumans and superheroes. When you come on Earth, Clark Kent, when he take them glasses off, that's a bad boy right there. And then what fuels you? What charges you? What's your sun? Two things that make people operate at genius level or become superheroes. It's authenticity and it's self-awareness. So basically having an understanding of who you are, what you bring to the table, and how other people perceive you, how you show up in the environment. And then authenticity is just having a conviction to be who you are, even when it's not convenient. A lot of us be picking and choosing when we want to show up authentic. A lot of people in here on the code switch ministry, or I can't be like that on this conference call. Y'all be, listen, I got 2 kids and my little man at an age where he want to be daddy everything. We a package deal on this call. He gonna sit right here. I'll be like, listen, he want to play a little catch. I'll be kicking the ball to him. It is what it is. My life is real. And if you're going to hire me, you're going to allow me to come as I am, or really you don't want me there. That's what I read as. So there's this thing called DISC. And it's a behavioral science model that was created by Dr. William Marston, who was a Harvard PhD. Long story short, he was the creator of the very first lie detector, and he's also the creator of Wonder Woman. And basically, he created this model that says that every human's behavior falls into these 4 quadrants at different levels. The D, right, represents a person who is wired to solve problems. They're said to be task-oriented extroverts. Anybody a D in here? High Ds? When I say high, I'm looking at like 65, 70 and above. High Ds? Okay, cool. High Is. Those are people who are wired for people. They walk into a room and they're magnetic. You feel them. They have energy. These are like the people. They are people-oriented extroverts. Then you have S's. S's are wired for stability and pace. These are people who are introverted people. And then you have the C's, who are task-oriented introverts. Now, a lot of you may feel a way, but this is proven science. Created in 1926, so we're almost 100 years in, and it still is around. And DISC answers a very particular question: how? It answers the question, how? How do people prefer to show up in a particular environment? When they feel natural and comfortable and safe, and how they show up when they feel seen and stressed. So when I talk about natural behavior, everybody is trying to get back to their natural. Natural behavior being when you're at the crib, when you're around your friends, when you feel safe. That's when you're in your natural behavior. If you're looking at your assessment, these are the color bars, the bars that are colored. The adaptive is the gray bars. This is who you are when you're under stress, when you meet somebody for the first time, when you're uncomfortable. Everybody tracking? Cool. Now, when you adapt, it doesn't mean that you're being inauthentic. But there's value in operating as your natural self and your adaptive self. And I use this analogy. Everybody in here is a human, right? We're land mammals. What do we have to do to survive? Breathe. What does that look like? We on land, right? Okay, cool. So if I took a human and threw them in water, which is a foreign environment, right? And they do what they naturally do, what happens? They drown. So you have to adapt. So if I throw you in water and you do what you naturally do, you breathe, you ain't gonna be around too long. But if you adapt and hold your breath, now you adapt to the environment and you're able to survive. But here's the secret. You gotta put a time limit on it. Because if you hold your breath for too long, what happens? You drown. Navy SEAL, anybody in the military? The military? Navy SEALs can hold their breath for what, like 3 minutes and 30 seconds? That's crazy. How many of y'all experience stress? Like, y'all love y'all business, but y'all stressed. How many of y'all have experienced burnout? Like, I don't wanna. If a Navy SEAL is trained to hold their breath for 3 minutes, how long you been operating in your adaptive in your business? Your trust issues are stopping you from hiring that person that does that thing that you're really not even all that good at, but you just don't trust nobody. You don't want to give it to them. I'm here to tell you that you're only experiencing stress and burnout because you're operating in your adaptive too long. And if you want to be stress-free, you have to delegate, you have to hire, you have to transfer and give that to somebody else so you can be super, you can be top talent. That make sense? Okay, so we're gonna tap into my high D's real quick. Cool. So, high D's. So, I'm a high D. Here's the crazy part. When I was doing this work, when I started doing this work, I realized that if I took the time to understand a person, like it would create compassion. If I stopped, right, because we're looking at scientific data when we look at these charts, but there's a story attached to it. When I stop and ask the question, well, why is this person this way? Why do they do what they do? With each one of these profile types, there's a reason why they're this way. It comes from lived experience. Nobody is doing anything to you. Everybody's operating to keep themselves safe. And when you start to receive people through the lens of, oh, you just want to be safe, it changes the entire way that you interact with them. So I don't know the people in the crowd, but what I do know is if you're a high D, you are a high D because at some point in your life you felt unsafe. You grew up in an environment where it was really chaotic or you felt like you weren't guarded. So what we do, right, because humans are adaptable, we create these strategies for success. And because we have a need to feel safe all the time, the way that they respond is they become very assertive and they take control. So a high D, right, they're not good for everything, but what they are good for is getting things done. They're wired to challenge the status quo, to shake cages. They're wired for efficiency. What's the quickest route between point A and point B? Like if you give a high D 10 steps, they're gonna go, all right, 5 don't make no sense. 2 is cool. I don't like number 4. 7, I like that number. Let's just get to 10. I don't have time for all of that. Any of my high Ds, raise your hand again? Our language is how many by when. Period. Don't start talking to me about who's gonna be there. I'm not interested in any of that. What are we doing? And anybody that knows me know, like, anybody seen that video with 50? Corey, you seen the video with 50 where it was like, people always like 50 wants problems. He said, I don't want no problem. But when people say they got a problem, I say no problem. That's me. I want all the smoke. My nickname's Smokey Robinson. Like if you got smoke, I'm about that. I need it. But I'm just wired for problem solving. Don't ask me to kiss babies. That's not my thing. Hey, how you, that's not my lane. But crisis, when we need to get something done, cool. Now, again, it may feel like they're overstepping authority and they're reckless and they don't care about people's feelings. But again, they're wired to solve problems. If you're running a business, what are you in business to do? Solve a problem. So do you think you need a high D on your team? Okay. Here's how you keep a high D. They need challenges. Quiet as it's kept, Ds are the most easily manipulated people because all you have to do is challenge them. Tell them they can't do something. Or if you're trying to sell a high D, you be like, listen, you know what? Maybe I had this mixed up. Maybe I should show you the other model. I'm like, hold up. You think I don't got money? Like, I can't. I'm about to buy the whole joint up. I ain't like that pause. I don't even know what that meant. Right? I need a challenge, right? They need freedom from minute tasks. They need authority. Ds are wired to solve problems of importance. They don't want the details. If you ask me, hey, can you go grab that thing out of my bag? What you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring you the whole bag. I don't have time to dig in your bag.
You could do that.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody be like, hey, can you get the remote off the couch? What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look on the couch. It's not there. Cool. Yeah, I ain't see it. Like, you blind. You can't find nothing. No, you said look on the couch. I'm not digging in the couch. I just really don't have time for that. But a D's biggest fear is being taken advantage of, being controlled. So for me, like, the story is important. So I'm a high D for no other reason. I grew up in the Bronx during the crack era. Seen people get killed. And like, it's the jungle. So when I come outside, it doesn't feel safe. My parents split when I was 3, so I went from feeling protected in the house to my dad not being there. My older brother got killed by police officers as a teenager. So at that moment, my brain said, oh, kids are not safe. Okay, cool. I got you. I became an animal after that. So when I come across abrasive or I come across direct, it's not because I don't care about people. If my people not care about people, but I want to make sure that I'm safe and there's respect. We speak the language of respect as high Ds. Y'all tracking with me? Yeah. Cool. Screenshot this. This is retention. This is how you communicate with a high D, right? From whoever you are. Anybody got a question before we keep going? Go ahead. I would say like 70 and above.
Okay.
How do you determine if somebody's a high D? So there's certain, one, if you don't have an assessment, because we're not weird, we ain't gonna go assessment you. We're not gonna do that. But there's certain language, right? So there's body language. Ds will not have you in their space. There's a distance. If you talk to me, I'm angling my body. I don't I'm not giving you access to me in that way. We also speak like, okay, we use language like, why not? But somebody's like, well, you can't do that. Why I can't? I went to go visit family in Charlotte the other day. I woke up. I was like, do I want to go? I booked my flight at 2:52 for like 7 o'clock. Why you didn't plan this? Because I can. I woke up and I felt like doing it, so I could do that. That's the way we speak. People who are high S's and high C's ask, what if? Well, what if this goes wrong? So those are things that will easily let you know where a person is coming from. Yep. One more, and then we're going to keep going.
So in situations where you have an individual that like kind of spans multiple elements, how do you address that situation? Because like I use myself as an example. So for I and S, I'm in the 60s, so they're pretty even. So how, with those people, would you manage?
Right, so one, I would look at your adaptive and see where you're most consistent, but also, do you know the numbers? Because I can tell you off the top.
For I,
No, tell me all the numbers.
For D, I'm 5649.
Mm-hmm.
For I, I'm 6053. For S, I'm 6353. And for C, I'm 4628.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna say you're more of an SI, like you like things more chill, right? You're people oriented, but you're introverted. So in those areas that once I know the numbers, I don't even have to look at the chart, but I can tell from there. Did I answer your question? Okay, cool. Everybody got the screen? Cool. My high eyes. These are the people. When you walk into a room, you know who they are. They shine. High eyes are wired to make sure everybody feels appreciated. How many of y'all got a friend or a family member, you walk in, like, y'all know everybody. I can't go nowhere without you knowing somebody. They got feet on their chin, they always running their mouth. You know what I'm saying? They talking to everybody. Are they mad, emo, they just want to give you hugs and all that? Those are high eyes. These are the stars in the room. They light up the room. You need a high eye because who do you do business with? People. Customer service, client success, anything people interfacing, you're going to want a high eye. Why? Because they're going to make people feel appreciated. And what did Marcus say? Most of the buying decisions are emotional. I don't even have to use your product. I like you. I'll pay extra. I just want my man make me feel good. When people feel a way, hey Marcus, I will never forget watching Monsters Ball. Halle Berry, I just want to feel good. I said, you never touch this man. You would never touch, what, Billy Bob? I just want to feel good. I don't never want to feel that much. Don't you know what I'm saying? But they're feelers. The value they bring to a team. Because here's the key. I think a lot of the time we look at other people and they're different and we're like, oh, like why do they do that? But when we start to change perspective and understand that they add something that we don't have, now we start to say, okay, let's collaborate. They're creative problem solvers, right? They make people feel good. They have a great sense of humor, and they negotiate conflict. Anybody run a business with no conflict? No. Anybody like funky, musty vibes in the room? No. So you think you need an eye on your team? Okay. Challenges and blind spots. Do not expect a high eye to remember details. Do not ask them to remember details at all. Their brains are always floating. They're always, okay. They're like scattered. Somebody may say they got like shiny, squirrel syndrome or shiny thing syndrome. They're creative, right? You ask them to go pick something up from the store, they done stopped and spoke to 10 people. They forgot what you told them to go get. Here's the challenge. There's three types of people in the world, right? There's the person who just doesn't know. They're ignorant. Then there's the person who chooses not to. Like they know, but they have agency. They have the power of choice. I don't feel like doing that. And then you have the person that's just not capable, right? So if I had this glass and I took a gallon of water in it, I took a gallon of water and I poured it in here, what y'all think gonna happen? It's gonna overflow, right? But if I took a gallon of water and I poured it into a tub, what's gonna happen? Huh? It's gonna carry the water, right? Because it has the capacity to. A lot of times we're asking people to do things and we're requiring people of things and we're putting the fire on people, asking them to do things that they're not capable of. They wasn't built that way. We're also requiring ourselves of things that we're not built for. That's why we experience stress. Superman is super. He's gonna give everybody that work until they pull out kryptonite. And when there's kryptonite, you might need to go call somebody else. Get the Hulk, or whoever else. You know what I'm saying? They're not really good at details. They're very emotionally wired. So if you say something, it may hurt their feelings. Where my high eyes at? I'm gonna talk to you nice, okay? Said like a true, yes. Let me tell you something. For my high eyes, let me free you. Feelings are not facts.
Amen.
A lot of y'all getting in your own way because y'all feel like feelings are facts. There's a difference between a fact and a belief. A belief is an opinion with a lot of conviction behind it. But a fact is absolute. How many of y'all know that y'all be getting in y'all feelings and it distracts you from getting the business done? Y'all, you like, I don't feel like it. And then your people tell you, oh, you being extra, and then you feel triggered like, maybe I'm too much for you. No, you, you know what I'm saying? High odds. How many of y'all struggle with telling people bad news or giving people feedback? Yeah, because high eyes are wired for experience. They will sacrifice a result to create a good experience. A high D, I don't care nothing about your feelings. Nothing. Like, I'm about the result. If I hurt your feelings in the process, I'm sorry. But we're going to get this done. Right? They're motivated by praise. Tell me I look good. I like your shoes. Don't go to a high eye and like just start like, hey, I need this thing from you. They're like, you ain't saying hi. You ain't asked me how my weekend was, the weather, nothing. You got to approach them with small talk. Right? Like, but they want to know that you're genuinely interested. These are where human skills, I don't like saying soft skills, but like human skills are important. Remember I said high eyes are wired to make everybody feel appreciated. That's because a high eye's biggest fear is rejection. If you are a high eye, you probably are a high eye because you felt like somebody didn't accept you, or somebody rejected you, or you did not belong. And that's why they go out their way to go and touch everybody and say hi and smile. They might not have, their tank might be on E, but they're going to make sure you feel good. And you need somebody on your team that's going to do that. Everybody see the value of a high eye? Nobody's the most valuable. All right? See? This is why we tell you about yourself. You are high eyes like to be shiners, and then when you humble them, you hurt their feelings. Screenshot. This is how you keep and retain high eyes. Questions about high eyes? Anybody have a question? I got you. Go ahead.
How do you balance it with, so I'm a high D and a high I and a high C?
What you mean high and all of?
Yeah.
Give me the numbers.
Numbers are 99B, 99 over 49B, 6060 I, 3217 S, 5367 C.
Your C is moderate. You feel overstimulated a lot, right? Like it's too much going on, right? So you're wired to solve problems, but you're also a people person. You attract people. So you don't want to, right? But it's just who you are, right? That's like telling Hulk not to be green. He's green, right? So you attract people, and you're wired for problems. So when you see a person, you're like, okay, something's wrong. I have to solve this problem. And what happens is you go and solve everybody else's problems, and then when it's time for you to do what you need for you, you burn out. And then you get resentful that I'm giving all of this to other people. Good? So you have to take time, oxygen mask on first, do what you need to do for yourself, and pick your spots. You feel me? Cool. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. You got a question? That was it? Okay.
I'm a high I, but the D is above average. So, like, okay, let me pull this up so I can do that. But I will, okay, like the attention to detail part. Like my attention to detail is on 1,000, but on things that
matter
I
to you.
find important.
Interesting.
Right, and then even sometimes the stuff that I don't, it's just like I typically notice a lot of things that people just happen to overlook. And then what was the other one? Yeah, that's true. So I was just I'm just kind of curious because like some of the stuff that was like the rejection part, like I don't really care about rejection. But it depends on who it's coming from.
Okay, so I was about to say, don't get up here and lie to me because I don't want to make you cry.
No, let me explain a little further like this. So rejection, I guess it's on how the totem pole of where I have you at. So if you're someone near and dear to me, that will hurt a lot more than someone that I just met. And I'm like, okay, whatever, move along. You know what I mean? Like it don't hit. So I was just kind of like, is my numbers? Because maybe I'm a little more higher in a D. Is that?
What are your numbers?
D 56, 63, I 81 over 53, S 46 over 25, and C 46 over 53.
Oh, so you tell yourself you don't care. You shut down.
I'm saying it depends on who they are.
No.
Coming out though.
It depends on who it is. Like if I have you in a high regard, yes, you can do all types of damage.
If you do it in one area of your life, you do it in another. You shut down. Somebody say something you don't like, you don't really. You hold grudges.
I move around, but I don't like.
I move around. Like she's smooth with the wordplay, like she not. You know what I'm saying? So my high S's, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
My high S's. Where my high S's at? Cool. Matty J, my boy. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? If you ever had to guess what Matty is, he's an I. Okay? It shows. High S's. These are people that are wired for stability. These are the people that are the glue in the environment. You have somebody around and they did something for you before you thought to even ask for it. Quiet, they stay behind the scenes. These are the ride or dies. The ride or dies. Quiet, introverted, but people-oriented. They care about making sure everybody feels supported. Can you run a business without support staff? No. So you need an S. The value they bring to a team, They are reliable. They are loyal. They get the job done, and they do not ask for anything. Now, on the flip side, the challenge is you have to be mindful because they're not going to ask for anything, but we all know people need things. So if you're a high S, you're a ride or die, but you got to be careful whose car you get in. You might be riding out with somebody that don't have your best interests at heart. But if you get into the right car with somebody who cares, they're going to take care of you. High S's are accommodating. Any high S's in here? Where the high S's at? Okay. With every type, there's an emotion. Have you ever been like, yo, I could never guess what this person is thinking or feeling? They're probably an S. The emotion attached to an S is void of emotion. They don't show people, they keep people at a distance. You have to build trust with them over time. Because they're so accommodating, you have to take time for them to let you in. So you ask somebody, hey, what you want to eat? I don't know, what you want to eat? I want to eat Chinese. You start eating the food, they're like, yeah, I wish I had. I'm like, I just asked you. With a high S, you gotta, what do you want to eat? Oh, whatever you want to eat. No. Are you sure you want to eat this? Are you sure you're sure? Because they are naturally going to defer to the people around them. They're compliant. They're loyal, right? They are good listeners. They are the ultimate team players. Ultimate. Jordan doesn't win that second three-peat without Dennis Rodman. Right? Scotty was locking up, Mike was scoring, but who was jumping into the stands to get loose balls and catch rebounds and wasn't worried about scoring? Who was doing the little, Dennis Rodman's a wild boy. Dennis Rodman, you be shooting a free throw, he be blowing in your ear like, he doing all sorts of antics to distract you, to get you off your game. They don't get that second three-peat without him. Now, here's the thing with high S's though. Because they like everything to be cool, calm, collected, and consistent, right? So their superpowers, they're predictable. That you give them something and they will work it and work it and work it. But the challenge is when you tell them that there's something needs to change, is a problem. Because a high S, their biggest fear is loss of stability, loss of security. So the moment you start saying something's going to change, they're like, hold up. They're going to resist. Eventually, they'll get with the program, but they fear things being different. That's why they like everything to be slow. That make sense? Here's how to keep an S on your team. Screenshots. Any questions about my S's? We got a question right here.
I was looking at the initial example you gave with the high D. So how would, I know you said some of the maybe disadvantages or opportunities, I guess with a D is again being demanding and straight to the point, but me as an S, again flexing between the two, would I manage a D personality or have a D personality on my team? But what was the thing you said? They want to feel appreciated. What was it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciated.
Supported.
Supported, right.
So here's the thing. Whatever you are, you need all of the other things. Period. So if you're an S, right, then you know that you need a D because S's they don't like confrontation. They don't want smoke. You need a D. That's going to solve a problem. S's struggle with urgency. They lack urgency. So D's are initiators. Their problem is they're not sitting down long enough to hear any instruction. They smell something and they go. But an S, there's a juxtaposed relationship. They're opposites. D's attract S's and S's attract D's. D's like authority. I said S's are compliant. So for a D, S, okay, cool, just come on. And for an S, they like D's because they don't want problems. And the D is going to jump to save them and keep them safe. Does that make sense? Right? So you have to understand, like, okay, the D is a little aggressive, but here's the value add. Again, the idea is to use our differences to make a difference. My high C's, where my high C's at? Okay, I know y'all taking notes, so I'm gonna talk slow. Y'all are taking y'all time. I'm gonna enunciate every syllable. You know what I'm saying? Yep. High C's, okay, because I want to get into some Q&A, so we're gonna rock. High C's are wired for process, procedure. They're analytical, they're systematic. They care about structure, right? They want things to be done right. A D wants to get things done, but a C wants to get it done right. If you ask me to get myself out of this room, I may try to climb through there. A C is gonna be like, I think this is the best. It says exit. I'm like, well, this was closer. I went out this way and came all the way. The value add for a C, they're the anchor of reality in any environment. So for a C, a lot of us may feel like if you are I, you like, yo, I got this ill idea, and they like, have you thought through this and this? And you like, yo, bro, I'm trying to give you my energy, my vibe. Or if you a high D like me, you like, yo, I gotta get this done, and they like, you can't do that. Watch me. Watch me. They're pragmatic. They bring you back to earth. They let you dream and do all this here, but we have to adhere, and they ground you. Anybody like, you ever like feel sick or something? Would you try to like cure that yourself, or would you go to the doctor? Anybody had a lawsuit before? Would you try to defend yourself, or would you try to, no, you get a lawyer, right? They're specialists. They're like surgeons. They're surgical about what they do. They're exact and precise, right? So they care about facts. They care about having a plan. Now, the thing I always tell C's are, well, you're planning for this to go this way. What happens when it doesn't? We talk about fight. We talk about flight. C's will freeze. Whoa. I didn't plan for this, right? They need boundaries. Like a C is not going to move until you give them instruction. And even if you give them instruction, they trust but verify. They measure twice and cut once. And you can tell if somebody's a C, like my daughter is a C, like her favorite word is actually. So I be saying stuff, and she be like, actually. I be like, first of all, mind your business, okay? Oh, I forgot there was it might have been Sonic that came out, and I'm going to the movies, and I'm, like the movie's coming, and I was like, yeah, we'll go to the movies during the week. Sis went and got a notepad and came and was like, well, on May 25th, you said we would see it debut weekend. I'm like, yo, what's happening here? She writes everything. She's very formal. She asks for permission. That's what a C is going to do, and you need that. Anybody prefer to run a business without legal counsel? Yeah, right? And so they may seem like Debbie Downers, but C's are the way they are because their biggest fear is criticism. That's why they take so much time. That's why they're so diligent. That's why they ask all the questions, because they put all of themselves into the work that they do. So when they make a mistake, they want to disappear. And if listen, I'm a 99D, my adaptive is 95. I'm always with the shits at all times. Amen. When I speak to a C, I have to be very calculated in the words that I use because I will break their spirit. They're going to they're like, well, he said, I was average. They're gonna go Google average. Like that's how they are because they're afraid of being criticized. Here's how you keep a C on your team. We had a conference talking about structure and talking about systems. These are the star players when it comes to structure and systems. There is no system. How many of y'all know y'all need the system and the structure, but y'all don't want to do it? Like, just raise your hand. Y'all know y'all need the system, but you don't want to work. So you need to hire a C. Now, the other part of the equation, we're not going to get into because I want to get into Q&A, but why people do what they do, motivators. So we talk about, behavior. This is showing us how a person is showing up, but we may not understand what's under the hood, like why they do what they do, what drives them. These are 7 motivators, like why people are the way they are, why they behave the way that they behave. Anybody have somebody on the staff and you try to give them a bonus or something, they're like, oh, thank you, I'm cool. And you're like, I just gave you a bag, like, you not happy? They're not motivated by economics. But if you give them a vacation and they get to relax, 9 times out of 10, they value aesthetics. They value peace and harmony and balance. So when you're looking to retain talent, you have to understand what moves them and what they care about in order to keep them. You don't need to give everybody the same thing. We can't take a blanketed approach, a cookie cutter approach to running a business and dealing with people. I can't speak to you the same way I would speak to you. So let's get into questions, Q&A. How much time we got? We got 5 minutes? 3? Okay, so we'll take 2 questions. Go ahead.
What does it mean when your adaptive score is higher than your adaptive?
Well, tell me which one it is.
I, 46 and 67.
So this means, when you sit on a lot of stuff, right? So somebody may say something or do something. You say you was an S?
High.
Yeah, you're a high S, right? So what S's do, they don't like confrontation, so they're gonna collect receipts. They're gonna sit and go, okay, that's cool. All right. And then 2 months later, they're gonna explode. Yeah, because you did this and this and this and this. And they're like, yo, where did all this come from? You didn't even say nothing. That's why you adapt up, because you become more expressive emotionally. Now you telling somebody about themselves, and they didn't even know they was in trouble. They didn't know what they was doing. That make sense?
Thank you. I appreciate what you had to share. I'm a high I and a high C.
Okay.
Any suggestions to how to deal with this conflict?
Well, what are you struggling with?
I feel like the perfection on the C, and then the hair blowing in the I. I'm just flaky on one side, and then I want rigidity on the other side. And so this is a lifelong conflict.
You feel like you're judgmental?
Oh, very much so, but I try not to be.
You could try not to be. If you're a high C and you want to get things done, you need a deadline.
True.
Done is better than perfect.
True.
Perfect never gets done. Excellence does, though. So have a standard of excellence and work towards that, but once the deadline comes, you got to let it go. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Can I so I was reading some of y'all assessments, and some things really stood out. Yours in particular. Yes. Do I have permission to?
I wanted you to analyze it.
You sure? Okay. So let's just for the record, I've never said 2 words to you before, right? No. So in your business, what I noticed was you have so you're a high D, you have really high standards, right?
Yes.
And I could imagine that you get frustrated because you move so fast, you don't give yourself enough time to meet your high standards,
Correct.
right? So you're like, okay, we got to do this. And then you're going crazy. Like, oh, this is not done, this is not done. But you move so fast, like there is no chill in you, like
Right. At all.
at all.
No.
High D and a high I, super low S, which means she's very active, and a super high C.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't rush and be precise at the same time. And that's what you're struggling with.
That's correct.
That's what you're struggling with. You want to get things done at a high level with excellence and high quality, but you're rushing to get there. It doesn't match.
I feel like you know me.
It doesn't match. Then the other thing, being a high D with a high I, right? You often experience burnout, right? Days where you like, I don't have anything, because you're overstimulated. You got lights, glitzing, everybody knows you. So people are attracted to you, and you're a natural problem solver, so you're always trying to get to it. Then when it's time to solve your problems or do for you, you don't have energy.
Right.
And then you start to feel resentful because it's like, well, I could have got my stuff done, but I was running around doing things for so and so and so, and nobody asked you to either. You just took it upon yourself to do it. Right? So you have to take some time for self-care, choose your spots, but you better hire somebody who's a high S tomorrow.
So I need a high S.
You need a high S, you need a high I, and you need a high C. But that high S better be the next thing you hire, because they're going to keep you grounded. They're going to do all of the work around you that you don't really want to do, but you have to do, or you feel like you have to do out of frustration, because nobody's going to do it the way you would do it. Make sense?
Perfect.
Does that resonate?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was going to ask you to do this, so thank you.
Okay, we could build on the back end
Okay.
if you want. Yeah. I'm probably over time. Okay, how many questions can I take? Huh? That one right there? Okay. I'm sorry.
So I actually just did the assessment because I was given the email
Okay, what's your
while
name?
you were speaking.
Oh, no, just give me the numbers. I'm cool.
I thought it was an I, but I'm a high S and a high D.
Give me the numbers.
The S is an 88. D
No,
is
read them in order. D, go
D
across.
67, I 39, S 88, C 46.
Okay. Yeah, so you're a high S, right? So you like things to be safe, to be stable. So understanding all of your behavior comes from a place where I'm sure, I don't know what it is, but at some time in your life you felt unsafe. By a person, a place, or a thing, you like everything to be broken down into steps, bit by bit. Talk to me slow, don't start, like when somebody starts talking fast and hand gestures, you're like, yeah, I don't like this, you're doing too much, right? Your D's not really high, but it's moderate, because what happens when you don't feel safe eventually? You corner somebody, you corner an animal, it's instinct for them to protect themselves. So at times people may feel that you're quiet and then you lash out because you've had too much, but nobody knew that they was offending you because you didn't say anything. Naturally, you're not confrontational, right? So what you have to work on doing is communicating as things are happening, because naturally you're passive, and that can come across as passive aggressive, right? It's not fair to hold these grudges with somebody and they don't know that they offended you because you didn't communicate. Does that make sense? So you need, like, if you're building a team around you, I would get a high I first, right? Somebody to engage with people. You know how to work a process. So if you need to hire somebody to give you a system, because the difference between a C and a S is process-oriented. A C is systems-oriented. So a C is going to create the system, create the structure. A C is going to work it. So if you're a high C, your best friend is a to-do list. Prioritized. Do this, 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 then this. Right? Don't ask a C to color outside don't ask an S to color outside the lines or deviate, because they're going to work what you give them. They take direction and they run with it. And S is going to say, yeah, we need to systemize this, and they're going to put the structure in place, but they don't want to work it. They just want to tell you when you're not working it. That makes sense? Got you. Done. Okay, so I can't take any more questions. If you do want to have a conversation with me, I will be available. You can text me if you need to get in contact with me, and we can't have a conversation. But I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate y'all.